pious purveyors of intergalactic peace. This is internet personality Vangelus, and in this video, I'm taking a look at a review copy of ThreeZero's DLX Optimus Prime from the Bumblebee movie, provided by ThreeZero, with hands on our hearts for the recently retired 3A. This is not a children's toy, so if you're a child or even a kid, you'd better not be watching this video. This is a grown-up's toy, an adult collectible. Do you even comprehend the messy and violent nature of your own sticky meat-slapping organic birth? Maintaining the par set by the previous two entries in the DLX line, ThreeZero basically created a physical copy of the film's CG model of Optimus Prime, tweaked for physics and joints. Full disclosure, I'm more or less a fan of that CG model. Sometimes the thighs look a little plump in stock shots, but handling a slavishly accurate figure often diminishes that trait for the better. Tweaks the curves, shaves the thick, as the kids say. An excellent sculpt is supported by a paint job that's totally up to par. Ink-washed two-tone metallics are by far the highlight, and once again, the DLX line fleshes out and three-dimensionalizes the plastic parts to the point of looking like metal. Though, also once again, there are some metal components secreted around this guy. His legs feel supremely hefty with die-cast, and that keeps him well planted, with or without the included display stand, which is the same one we saw on Bumblebee and Blitzwing, requiring the removal of a rearward pelvic cavity plug, featuring some solid motion functions on the connecting arm, clickety-click, ratchety-ratch, etc., etc. Starting off with requisite fists for punching wannabe Cybertronian fascists, you get 3 additional pairs of hand swaps, though they aren't quite as easy to pop on and off as on Bumblebee and Blitzwing, primarily due to the presence of some additional articulation. On this one, the ball can move around a little bit, and you gotta be careful how you're pushing things or it might slide out of the way, and regardless, you get some calm, open hands, some wide, splayed open hands, a pair of trigger-fingered holding hands, and finally, one more extra left hand. The command hand! Check the instruction book. The grippy holding hands are made to receive the handle of Optimus Prime's Ion Blaster, which is just one big chunk of nicely painted sculpt work, except that it's 2 pieces of nicely painted sculpt work. The magazine comes off to reveal one ready-to-fire bullet, which immediately gives me nostalgia for World War Robot. Oh, my beautiful portable Armstrongs. Rounding out the feature set is yet another recurring star of the DLX line, LR-44-powered light-up eyes. Primes fill with a gentle blue hue, toggling on and off with a press of the forehead insignia pass-through button located upon his troubled brow. Hopefully, I've finally figured out how to more clearly film light-up features. This is a whole thing with the science of cameras and the way that light goes into the receptacle area on the front and the different exposures. Do any of you care? Like, you're not surprised, right, that there's a ball-jointed neck, right? It's something you can come to expect from a high-end robot. He can look left and right. There's a bit of budding of faceplate chin to neck meat, but the upside of this is that the entire base neck meat is itself on a ball joint, so it can also move around. And while you're doing all this, this reveals various bits of detail. The one downside of all of this is that he can only look a little ways up. I wish he could look up just like another 15 degrees, so if he is like punching his fist in the ground, he could look straight forward, but that's that. Before we get into the arms, let's just do this. Let's get into the really fun part. There's a waist joint. Absolutely, there is a waist joint. There is an ab joint, but like, so the waist joint, it butts into these hip skirts a bit. You can move these out of the way if you want to give it a clearer path, and it goes about that far. If you want to get some farther twistage, you can do that with the ab joint. But the ab joint, the big thing about this is some of the side-to-side revealing detail, and then check this out. Like, where did it go? Where did his entire stomach go? And more importantly, when you go backwards, where did some of this stuff come from? It was under there. You knew that already. But back here, this is the fun part. He's got this spine, and when you bend forward, look at all that spine. Look at where that's some Sentinel, that's some flame toys, that's some chemical attack style stuff. This is ThreeZero. They did a very good job on this. And when you do the backwards pull, it covers up some more of that spine. It is a seamless, painless process to work this joint, no matter how you twist it, no matter how you manipulate it after the fact. This set of torso joints here, these two things are gorgeous. The geometry is perfect. This is excellent. That's not to say there's nothing in the arms, it's just, man, that torso. The arms can, you know, wave around as much as you need them to. It's very tight joint. In fact, if you pull on it just enough, you can just pop this head. It's a very stiff connection because it's a hexagonal thing there, and this peg is very, very sturdy. It's like a metal peg going in. But this makes me think that maybe at some point there was an idea of having a swappable arm with an axe on it or something, and maybe that could be in the future, some future release, guys, maybe? Maybe we can have some of that. So, if you want to move the arm outwards, like there's a bicep swivel, that's cool. But if you want to move the arm outwards, you can pop this little thing up. So you can pop this thing up, move the arm out like this. You can pop this whole thing up like that, move the whole arm out like this for T-pose. But if you want some more, if you need more of that up, you can have some more of that up, because I don't know if you can see this entire socket piece here also can swivel upwards. And when it moves upwards, this is really hard to notice, this little panel here, this red panel, so it kind of pops up a little bit as well. I love stuff like that. That's really cool. And also this entire socket piece can swing forwards, so that you can have some of that, you know, forward butterfly action. But I like the multiple pieces. Like, if you just move the arm up, eventually it all moves, along with the torso. And I love how it has a sort of organic flow to it. As for the elbow, it's double jointed, and it's got a little bit of mechanics work. Like, if you watch this thing here while I'm moving this, like, that's just normal hinge, right? But then watch that thing get sucked up in there. That's kind of cool. And that's the full curl. There's also a glove cut, so this forearm section can twist if you need to get, I guess, some parts of the bulk into certain areas or out of the way of some of the posing options you want. And then the hand, it's on a ball socket joint, as you already know, and that joint, as you already know, is on a stem that has a little bit of swivel range. What's cool is the ball itself also still has a bit of swivel range, so that you can rotate and engage in some radial motion around the circumference of the ball, and then you can enhance that, and you can support that with some of the hinged motion. And that's really useful given how kind of cramped the wrist design is. I still wish that ball and stem were metal, like on Blitzwing and Bumblebee. That's probably my biggest qualm with the figure, because I don't really got any qualms with the crotch. This stuff all, like, this is a double hinge here. Then the back part of the skirt is on its own little ball-socketed connection. And these balls are metal. You say metal ball and then the battery dies. It's just, ugh. Have some training. Anyway, this thing's on a ball socket connection so it can get out of the way. And in the front skirt piece, guess what? It's on a double ball socket connection, so it can move around and get a little bit animate depending on the dynamicism of what you're doing. And again, the ball is metal. Don't die on me, battery! So the hips are on a basic assembly, not a ball socket assembly, but they can move outwards about yay far, so not quite a full Van Damme, kind of a 7 out of 10 on the Van Damme. And then the base swivel here can kick forwards like this, but let's say you want to kick forwards differently. See how well you can see this. There's a stalk here that has a hard, buttery ratchet motion to move the main hip axis forwards to get a higher kick. So you can get nuts with this. You can have Optimus just like laying a foot to a chin. As they say in the business, there is also a thigh swivel up here at the top. It does not do a whole ton until you give it some room to breathe, and even then, it's not a super duper thigh swivel. It's like a 15-degree thigh swivel, so bear that in mind. It's worth it though, because you can take the knee, right, and then you can put it in focus, and then you can do this. That's real cool. That just feels good. That's some of that stepping up to the realm of chemical attack stuff that is highly impressing me with this DLX line. Like, I'll do this from a few more angles here. Like, look at all the stuff getting revealed. Like, the transforming joints of this knee bend is excellent. That's some good curl. Like, I love this knee. This is, like, to bend the knee is the highlight of a Flame Toys piece or a chemical attack piece to me, and we're getting that here. I like it a lot. Now, that thigh swivel, it does not allow the knee to, like, face too far outwards, so if you want to get real crazy, that is a bit of a limitation, but the feet are on their own left and right swivel, so combined together you can get that dynamic toe pointing outwards, two hands on the clock thing going on from a top-down view. The foot also has an ankle tilt. Very tight, very lovely. This thing moves up and down because there is a toe joint. It's a very tight toe joint. Very minor toe joint, but that, we'll get it out of the way. These two things both kind of flip around for when you move the foot up and down. And then this is further supported by a little flap here that can get out of the way, so if you want to have the thing point downwards. It's all very minor. I wish there was a double joint on here. Again, this is like a metal peg going into a very tight slot, so you can pop it out if you want to inspect it. And I very much wish there had been, I don't know, like another point of motion in here, just to get like that full, like, toe tilting downwards thing for when he's doing the jump. So I guess, yeah, I would say the ankle joints forward and backward axis is a bit limited, thigh swivel's a bit limited, and I wish that the wrist ball stems were metal. Those are about it for my qualms. That's just so I can then go on to gush about how much I like this articulation. This thing is a super solid piece to mess with. It feels so good to play with. Bumblebee is by far the best tactile bang for your buck in the line, being the least expensive one. Blitzwing has all the pointy bits that make him feel a bit more like your average high-end piece, but Optimus Prime is like this gorgeous median where you get the tactile fun of a Bumblebee at the larger size of a Blitzwing, and with the weight and everything, and the way that, like, it can just pick this guy up and start moving him around, and he flows. I enjoy posing this guy. I like messing with this guy. His eyes are lit up, and he's all like, sentience ought to be free, I think. With its third installment, the DLX Bumblebee line by ThreeZero Knee 3A maintains a fantastic stride. Well-made high-end robot action figures that eagerly fight their way up the same plateaus as some of the chemical attack team's finest work, staying a hair's breadth below the $200 mark while feeling lovely and solid in hand. I'm still so impressed at how much this line's beef and hand feel has felt like a step up from everything 3A and ThreeZero have done before. Like, unless I missed something really specific. Sadly, though, as of this recording, there's no news as to the continuation of the DLX line. Literally all they've left to do are Shatter and Dropkick to round out the main cast that weren't from those Cybertron scenes. I mean, like, the little red guy can just be like a two-part accessory for Shatter and Dropkick, right? Like, that's all he splits in. So please join me in shouting to the sky, give us Murder Husband and Master Wife. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and I guess it's time for me to reveal the rules of participation for this video. I really should have mentioned it up front, but every time you say, does it transform, or it should transform, or really anything about it transforming or not, you owe me $10. It is cumulative. Hey, I know some of you are complaining, but you really should have read the end-user license agreement. It's kind of your fault, but hey, listen, it's fine, and in fact, preferred, if you put those $10 you legally owe me into a donation to your favorite local and trusted charity. If you haven't got one, spend $10 on a toy and give it to a child. They can't watch this video since this video is not for kids, but you can give them a bit of happiness. And if you are a kid watching this video and you got to this point, well, guess what? You're getting coal you're getting nothing. Santa Claus is gonna take not just your toys, he's gonna take your parents, because you didn't listen to the front of the video where I said the toy was not for kids.